The Great Sphinx has always been shrouded in mystery, sparking debates about its age, purpose, construction method, hidden chambers, involvement in prophecies, and relationship to the equally mysterious pyramids. The Sphinx of Giza is one of the most iconic ancient sculptures, but how much do you know about it? What have you been told? And how much of that information can we actually verify as the truth? The Sphinx is significantly more than most people realize, and you'll probably only understand how much you know after you finish watching this video. For starters, no one has ever been able to confirm the existence of a secret door or tunnel beneath the Sphinx leading to an underground chamber. Where do we begin? As I said earlier, an air of mystery has always surrounded the Great Sphinx, sparking numerous debates, most of which are unfortunately to the chagrin of Egyptologists and archaeologists who, it appears, only give credibility to views that are supported by physical evidence. On the Giza Plateau, about 0 kilometers west of Cairo, on the west bank of the Nile River, is where you'll find the Great Sphinx, which faces the rising sun. Later, it was revered as a manifestation of the sun god by the Egyptian kings, who called it Horus of the Sun. It is located in the ancient Memphis necropolis, the seat of power for the pharaohs, and is close to 3 huge pyramids: Great Pyramid of Khufu, Cheops, Khafre, Chephren, and Menkora, Mycerinus. The monument is the largest surviving sculpture from the ancient world, reaching 73.5 meters in length and 20 meters in height in its various portions. Talk about massive and beautiful. As part of Uraeus, which is the holy cobra that guards against bad energy, the nose and ritual beard are gone. The beard is now on display at the British Museum. The side extensions of the head are part of the royal headcloth. Although the Sphinx head has been severely eroded over thousands of years, vestiges of the original paint can still be seen near one ear. It is believed that the Sphinx's face was once painted in a dark crimson. Between its paws was a tiny temple with scores of inscribed stelae constructed by the pharaohs in honor of the sun god. So what comes next? The intervention of historians in uncovering the secrets. When Mark Lehner was a teenager in the late 1960s, his parents introduced him to Edgar Cayce's works. He wasn't hunting for lost civilizations, but rather a significant involvement. So he skipped out of school, hitchhiked, and ended up in Virginia Beach, where he sought out Cayce's son, Hugh Lynn, the head of his father's holistic medicine and paranormal research foundation. Lehner joined a group trip to the Giza Plateau, the site of the Sphinx, and the pyramids on the western outskirts of Cairo, funded by the foundation. There were thousands of tombs of real people, statues of real people with real names, and none of them figured in Cayce's stories, he says. After getting married to an Egyptian woman, Lehner spent the following years using his drafting skills to map various ancient Egyptian sites. Later in 1977, he collaborated with Stanford Research Institute specialists who were examining the bedrock beneath the Sphinx using cutting-edge remote sensing technology. They only discovered the fractures and fissures that are typical of common limestone formations. Along with Zahi Hawass, a young Egyptian archaeologist, Lehner also discovered and recorded a passage in the rump of the Sphinx, establishing that it had been dug by treasure hunters after the statue was built. Another historian, Matt Simpson, believes that the tunnels of the Sphinx are connected to the pyramids of Giza. According to Simpson, the secret doorway was discovered by a French archaeological dig in 1837, and Colonel Howard Weiss, an Egyptologist, saw the event. However, Weiss and the team were reportedly forced to keep the discovery a secret. The question now is why? This leads us to wonder, how can we uncover all the mysteries? We take it piece by piece, and let's start with secret passageways. Up until the discovery of hidden tunnels beneath the plateau of Giza, Simpson's theory seemed absurd. If there are tunnels there in 2019, they must go somewhere. They might be a connection between the pyramids and the Sphinx that seems somewhat logical. The reason the French archaeologists and Colonel were told to keep the discoveries a secret is still a mystery if we presume that the Sphinx inside holes had some sort of function. The fact that the Sphinx was carved from a single piece of rock is a less contentious claim. However, it seems too dramatic to be real. There are no inscriptions on the Sphinx that would reveal who made it. Given that our next condition takes us back into contra-controlled territory, it is understandable why some people think it was designed by aliens. So what's the main point here? What new information about the Sphinx do we now know that is the most significant? We don't know the Sphinx's age, therefore perhaps it is something to do with the revelation. Some say it was made circa 2600 BC, while it might have existed when Khafre was born. On the other hand, the effects of erosion on limestone are suspicious. We must, however, rule out the notion that it was created by ancient Egyptians, or at least not by them if we're talking about an age of 9,000 years or more. The Sphinx's purpose and motivation are the bigger mysteries. It is a portrayal portrayal of Khafre, it appears to be incredibly egotistical even in the standards of Egyptian pharaohs. Why? If building anything similar would have set a precedent, did none of Khafre's successors build their own sphinx? Perhaps, however, it was first imagined as a huge statue of Anubis. Why was it modified at all? What happened to the original head, and why is the head so much smaller than the rest of the body? Why are there no records of its creation, whatever that was, in writing? And a lot more. Another great mystery is who the Great Sphinx is supposed to represent. What is the Sphinx's purpose and motivation? Most Egyptologists believe that Chephren, a 4th dynasty pharaoh, had the stone carved into a lion with his own face around 2540 BC, around the same time as the construction of the neighboring pyramids of Chephren. Perhaps the dog-faced god Anubis was the intended subject of the painting. The widely accepted archaeological and historical theory that the pharaoh Khafre was the original face of the Sphinx is contested by a large number of people. However, despite the Sphinx's grandeur, there are no inscriptions anywhere connecting it to Chephren, and there are also no records of its construction. Contrary to what Egyptologists assert, nobody knows when or who constructed the Sphinx. The original purpose of the Sphinx has frequently given rise to mystical interpretations, such as those of English occultist Paul Brunton, and in the 1940s, controversial American psychic and prophet Edgar Cayce. The Great Sphinx was dug from a rather soft, natural limestone left over from the pyramid's quarry. The forepaws were built separately from blocks of limestone. The head's disproportion to the body is one of the sculpture's most obvious flaws. Future pharaohs have repeatedly recarved the head since the first face was created, though it is unlikely that it's continued past Egypt's Old Kingdom period, which ended around 2181 BC. Perhaps the initial head was that of a ram or hawk, and it was later reshaped to a human figure. Over thousands of years, various repairs to the damaged head may have diminished or altered the facial proportions, and any of these hypotheses could explain the head's tiny size with respect to the body, especially if the Great Sphinx is older than previously thought. Today, the enormous statue is collapsing due to wind, heat, and Cairo smog. Since 1950, a massive and costly restoration and preservation project has been undertaken. However, in the early days of its endeavor, cement was employed for repairs, which is incompatible with limestone and so caused more damage to the building. Over 2,000 limestone blocks were added to the structure over a 6-year period, and chemicals were pumped into it, but the therapy sadly failed. The left shoulder of the Sphinx had deteriorated to the point where blocks were coming off by 1988. Restoration is still an ongoing process under the direction of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, which is attempting to drain some of the subsoil and repair the injured shoulder. We will have to wait a very long time before the Great Sphinx reveals her secrets because the focus today is on preservation rather than further exploration or excavation. I suppose only time will reveal what that building actually is. Finally, there is a lot of controversy surrounding the structure. I find it incredibly fascinating that prehistoric civilizations were far more advanced than we previously believed. What do you think about this? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below.